What's up, good people? It's your boy, Leroy McKenzie Jr., coming to you. It's the brand new development series, and y'all know how we do. We are going to bring you some topics, some folks, some interviews that are going to enlighten, empower, and impact you, but then also they're going to educate, activate, and elevate you because we want you to be able to be better, do better, not only for yourself but also the communities that you are part of. And that's the one big thing that JNF Enterprises and Black Professional Men, who is also along with me bringing this to you, Black Professional Men whose mission is to ensure the future of the African American male. And we are doing those things in and for the community that we want to be able to affect change. And I have today, we're gonna jump right into it. We have a change maker that's here with us today. And he has a phenomenal story. Y'all know I don't do bios and all of stuff, all of those things like that. I'm gonna let him tell you his story, because he has a phenomenal story to go along with the great things that he's doing. So I want you to grab your pen, grab your paper, because this brother's going to bring you some knowledge. He's going to bring you some information. He's going to bring you just some thoughts and nuggets that are going to be able to get you where it is that you want to be able to be in your success level, whether it's your business and in your personal life, because that's what we do. We deal with the business as well as the personal, those two things. So today we have Mr. Reginald Foreman with us, who is a author, who is a speaker, who is just an entrepreneur, but also an at-risk advocate. And y'all will get that in a couple of minutes when he tells you his story. But he's a phenomenal speaker. If you haven't heard him speak, or if you haven't heard him talk before, then you definitely want to check him out. And he's going to give all of his contact information for you to be able to see all of the great things that he has going on. And he got something for the kids too. We're going to get into that, which I think is a great thing as well. So, but what's going on, Mr. Foreman? How are you today?
Oh man, I'm doing great. I always tell people I can't complain because it won't change it.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with that too. That's not going to change a thing. That is true. So let's start off like this. Just to give the people just a little bit of the bio of who Reginald Foreman is, and then we'll talk about some of the other stuff.
Well, as you said, man, I'm an at-risk specialist. I help people uh, navigate through their pain and turn it for their good. Basically, I help people turn their purpose into pain, and that comes from what I've been through, what I've studied, what I've overcome. I'm a man of God, a faith person, Christian. My life started off rough as anybody else's life. Maybe not the same, but I know that a lot of people that I've dealt with and talked with, we all have a past. We all have a pain. Mine was the Chicago projects, a mother that was on drugs and prostitution, gangs, bullying. I went through a physical, a mental abuse. I was shipped from house to house like an orphan. Moved to Miami. My life was something like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I moved to Miami, Florida. My father and them were middle income. They had 4 cars. They had nice income. They had a pool, and I'm seeing palm trees. And I never experienced African Americans living successfully like I did when I moved to Miami.
Mm, mm.
So I had a little bit of that in my life. But when I moved there, by the age of 14, 15, and if you remember that age, then you start smelling yourself. You
It,
thought you were grown.
you said, I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know what it is about that age, especially for
Hmm.
young boys, and I've seen it in young girls too. But like some of my friends that have kids that were around that age and stuff like that, I said, ooh, I said it is. It is literally something about that
Mm,
age where we do literally start smelling ourselves and start just, you know. So you were so right with that.
yeah. So about that age, you got to imagine me being raised by a mother that had a lot of issues, as they say, hurt people, hurt other people, and
Hmm.
I was raised by her. It was love, but it was a lot of abuse, and I was in the streets. So now my father's trying to clean me up. This military corporate America man, he's trying to change so many ways out of me. So he was real strict, and it was hard. So when I moved there, I just wanted to fit in. I didn't want to get bullied no more, and I started and it's funny, I did set out to be this um, middle class kid that my father wanted me to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had to really almost beg and convince my father because he wanted to send me out private school, all boys school.
Okay.
And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Are you crazy? I ain't gonna be able to see no girls." Oh man, no, Dad, don't do it to me. So lo and behold, he gave in. My stepmother, I think she vouched, like, let the boy go to public school. And I ended up going to school in the neighborhood, what we call the hood almost.
Okay.
Middle end class, but you got a lot of kids. And my first day, some kids tried to jump me and bully me.
Mm.
So that set it off from Chicago. I got back, I got with a clique, and I was fighting all the time because I already had moved there with this chip on my shoulder from being bullied. And
Okay.
that's a big thing that I experienced bullying.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then and somehow in the black neighborhood, they don't know how to do one on one. They always got to click because a lot of people are not as strong or tough as they say they are unless they got their boys with them.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so that's when man I got into Miami. I went through that for a while, and my father started having issues. Him and my stepmother, like I said, we was corporate America, taught how to eat with a salad fork, a soup spoon. They had Christmas savings, they had college savings. They were the middle class, living the American dream, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
Income was over 100 plus in the 90s, and but me, they were square. I didn't understand the blessing that I had to live that way. And so, like I said, I was sneaking out, hanging with the dudes, getting into trouble and stuff. And lo and behold, my father had a secret himself.
Mm.
And some of his friends were Cubans and Colombians, and they were selling big time drugs.
Wow.
And there's a saying that I heard and I learned: if you show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Mm.
So my father was connected to them, and there would be times that he would come home late all the time, especially like a Thursday, where one of his friends owned a strip club.
Mm-hmm.
And my stepmother and my father, they fairly well kept away problems from me. But you know, your teenage year knows it. You
Right.
see things. Um, One day I was sneaking in my dad's truck and I was trying to get some loose money. I ain't gonna lie. I used to keep money all in his truck. I was stealing from my father. But that's all the way I know how to take care of myself since I was a youngin' with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And inside the ashtray there was a dollar bill rolled up real thin. And lo and behold, inside that dollar bill, it was some white stuff,
Mm.
which now that I know it was cocaine, and I didn't know for sure because my father didn't drink, he didn't smoke, was a corporate American man, he was the military man, education, but he had some demons, and a lot of us don't understand that. Um, our parents and ourselves, we have stuff in our closet that God is trying to clean out.
Mm-hmm.
But so my father went through that cycle. They got a divorce, and my father disappeared. So now I'm getting in trouble. I'm trying to fend for myself. DEA was looking for my father. They came to the house, guns drawn, asking for my father. And I was like, wow, I never would have imagined this was going to happen. He's riding around in limos with two white women prostitutes running a drug hole, which we call now the trap. So
Mm-hmm.
my father, you got to understand the tone, which went from a corporate America, suit and tie, suit and sping every day, to this pimp. He's pimping women and selling drugs.
Wow.
So what happened, Slick Willie, see, my father changed from who he was because of the Army and Mr. Dictionary Intelligence,
Okay.
but he didn't change spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
So when stuff hits the fan or life happens, you revert back to your old self
Right.
because you
Right.
never got healed or got another change inwardly.
Mm-hmm.
And my father went through that, and I started hanging out on the streets, and I ended up robbing a bank. Um, I started hanging with I was already hanging with the wrong crowd, but I was more so beginning to prove myself like I was a super thug.
Okay.
Because when you have a chip on your shoulder, a lot of kids that's been bullied, you want to prove to people I ain't nothing to play with. And so the more I'm getting in robberies, but what happened was I met a young lady, I was falling in love, and I started to slow down a little bit. But as I'm slowing down from hanging in the streets, the problem still kept increasing.
Mm.
And my father was getting foreclosure letters in the mail that our house was being foreclosed on.
Okay.
And I didn't know what to do. So me and my friend who was staying with me, which was a white boy Will, what we called him. I mean, an actual white boy that hang with all the black guys had 8 goals in his mouth. I'll never forget. But he was a cool dude. He was staying with me at my house, and we trying to pay the bills. But the mortgage company said that if our name is not on the deed or on the title, they wouldn't consult with us.
Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
so all was going down the drain. And I had a chance at the age of 16 to leave my situation.
Mm.
God always makes a way out. My aunt and them lived in St. Louis, Missouri, and they said that I can come live with them. But when I say they Kojic, Holy Ghost, church, skirt down their ankles, no makeup, man, All I knew was, man, I'm a thug. I'm not finna move up. They ain't gonna be able to play my rap music. They ain't gonna be able to date no females. So I opted to take care and depend on myself. So that was at 16. I remember that. I'm about 19 now, doing robberies, and I don't want to go into just say, man, I started doing this in my book. I started doing the trailer robberies, and it was like bloopers.
Mm.
Like, I'm gonna give y'all one that is real hilarious. I got to give you this. It's entertaining. We were casing this house. Some Spanish guys were telling about it was supposed to be keys of cocaine in the house.
Okay.
So we're watching the house. And so we're watching the house. The guy said, check the mail. And the mail is stacking up. So we're thinking the owners are going out of town. This is an inside job. So now we said we're going to hit the house one night. So we're crawling on the backyard, on the grass like army men, on the backyard, trying to get to the window. And Florida has these roll-up windows that pop out when you roll them out.
Mm.
So we go to the back window, and there was another friend. Me and his friend, we snatched the whole frame out of the window. So we climb in the house. It's me and some Spanish Chicos, tough Spanish guys. We in the house looking around for some cocaine. We told it was in the house, checking everything, checking all of the drawers. So there was one room that the door was locked. And the guys was getting frantic, like, man, I think it's in here. So we bust the door down, and it was a 6-foot safe in there, almost tall as me, a big safe. So of course, you're like, if it's a safe in the room, it gotta be the drugs. So they was panicking, like, how are we gonna get this safe out of here? That's a huge safe. I ran over to the safe and started shaking it, literally shaking it, and it pushed it out the floor. And that's why I've heard when your adrenaline is pumping, when you've seen grown women lift cars off their kids, it's true. When you're desired to do something, your adrenaline will pump. I pushed the safe out of the ground, it fell down. We took the safe because my friend was like, hey man, my brother got a torch at home. We can put it on the truck and take it. Put the safe on the truck and drove it to the house.
Oh,
So
wow.
now we're in this brother's garage with a torch. Open it up, open the bottom up. And we got a little able to see, and a crack of it folded down, and you could see like a white stuff. Everybody started giving high five, giving death, because all of us was in need of money.
Mm.
I don't think that people just sell drugs or do crime just because they like it. And then there's some people that are wild like that, but
Yeah.
sometimes you think there's no hope.
Right.
So now we're celebrating, and then we finally reach in there and pull it out. It was a white, like, garbage bag. Inside the bag, brother, was a 6-inch toy, a dildo. For you viewers, and I don't know the inches, I just say that, but it was a big one. Wrapped inside a plastic bag inside a safe.
Wow.
So we didn't know if somebody was sending us a message that you've been played, or
Mm-hmm.
this is a super freak house.
Right. Right.
That's actually was in
Gotcha.
the safe. So
Gotcha.
without going into it, I was having stuff like that, and a bank robbery came up to me because a friend of mine talked to me. He and his brothers were doing big robberies, and I think I suggested, I remember, because I was 19, then I'm 43, but I was watching this bank, and I was asking about it because a friend of mine, a female, worked there. And so we ended up saying, yeah, we're going to rob a bank. So now I'm like, man, we're making plans. We done got a stolen car 3 times. Let me tell you something when I say that the enemy can paint a picture for you just like God. It can be
Mm-hmm.
an illusion. Because the first couple of times we drove up to the bank, and like I said, bloopers. We park in the parking lot a couple of feet from the bank door, because what it is there was a drive-through teller, and then there's a bank on the hill. So it wasn't one piece. The
Okay.
teller was separate from the bank. The teller opened at 8 a.m., the drive-through teller, and the bank may open at 9.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were hitting the teller. It was supposed to be like 75 to 100 grand in there. As we drive up in the parking lot, I'm running out because I was like, I gotta make sure I get this money. I ain't trusting nobody else. As I tried the first time, you gotta time it, because when the people walk in the door to go to work, it's a big door. And it's, if you ever see one of them heavy doors that close slow, and then boom, it hits hard.
Right.
And so I'm trying to get out the door, and the car door was locked at the same time it was going in the bank. So you gotta imagine us sitting in the car fussing each other. I thought you unlocked the door. Why the door ain't unlocked? Of the car door bloopers. The second time, we park in the same parking lot. I jump out and run to the bank, right behind the door, crouch down. They didn't walk in. They can't see me because it's a big steel door. And my hand slipped off the doorknob.
Mm.
So I missed the doorknob, and the door slammed shut. And now I'm sitting out there like this at 7 a.m. in the morning, 8 a.m., 7:30 in the morning, don't know who can see me with a mask and a hat on. Run back to the car. Now, the third time, I'm at my house, and I remember it was like storming outside. And I remember arguing with God, like, man, if you ain't going to help me, what's going on. I remember kicking the patio doors, yelling up to the sky because I grew up believing in God. That was the thing about me having a calling on my life and whatever you call it. I always had a fear for God, so I just knew how to talk to Him. My grandmother was in church, even though my grandmother would come from church and smoke Benson and hedge cigarettes and cut you with a knife. So I didn't grow up in no Christian home, but we knew about God. And at that moment, the next day, when I said it was pouring down rain, we tinted the windows and pulled right beside the door because we observed that people were sitting there waiting on the light. You can sit there while they get ready with the money and click the light on green.
Okay.
So we sat right there. They opened the door. I jumped right out on time. Went in there. Uh, and what happened was I was so anxious. I said, I'm robbing everybody in here and the teller. There's two workers at early in the morning. I shot the gun in the bank, which caught me another chance charge because I was trying to scare them. I took their wallet, I took the purse, and found out that each shift has their own key. So we only got away with 22,000. And the man was stalling like, "Oh man, we don't have the keys. It's only money. Don't hurt us." And I'm like, "But you don't understand. I need this money." I remember saying this to him. And on the side of me, the lady was on the store, petrified on the floor. The Spanish woman, crying, yelling, like screaming. And I was like, "Be quiet." Anyway, went out, pulled away, and got away with 22,000. So I'm at my house, and all I remember was the guy telling me, because I had took the lady's purse, and back then this is when the flip phone just came out. So I took a flip phone out of her purse, and I had the money. He was like, burn everything, burn her clothes, get rid of gun, everything. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna burn it. I ended up keeping the lady's cell phone. I was so mesmerized by the cell phone. We split the money. I got 11 grand, and I want to keep a cell phone. So I keep the cell phone, and I kept the getaway car.
Oh, wow.
Because we had the guy that stole the car for us. He actually walked up on somebody while they was taking their groceries out and just got in the car and drove off.
Oh, wow.
So I'm riding around in a stolen Honda with a cell phone. But my plan was to go to Chicago and hook up with a family member and flip the money in the drugs. That was the plan. So as I'm driving around, I went to see one of my young boys that used to hang with me. He was like real close to me, 16 years old. I wanted to let him know I finally made it. I pull up to him, told him get off the school bus. We go to the gas station, I'm talking to him, and I just told him I did it. He hugged me because everybody knew that was close to me. Man, I was living in the house with no lights, no power. I was calling relatives for help. They was like, man, they weren't helping me. It was real rough. Cell phone, the telephone was off. It was rough, and I didn't want to move because I wanted to stand on my own, but nobody would help me. So my friends was like, man, we understood why you did it. We got your back. But when I was driving around, he saw the cell phone, and he in the passenger seat. I'm 19, he's 16. This guy looks at me. He said, man, where you get that cell phone from already? I said, man, I took out the lady purse. He says, you know they can trace you to the bank robbery from that cell phone. All kind of pride came up. I was like, man, who did this? I started beating my chest. Who did this? I did this. I got this. I said, okay. Lo and behold, dropped them on. Later that day, I was going up to North Miami to get my godbrother because I was gonna take him to Chicago with. As I go up there, I wanted to call my ex-girlfriend and let her know how she, just to stun on her. And I called, I said, yeah, I ain't really talked that much, but I activated the phone. I hung up on her. Phone activated. Then I called my godbrother, like, man, I'm on my way up to get you. As I pulled to a gas station, as I'm getting out to go in the gas station, a police car is driving around extra slow looking at me, staring at me. He pulls out the lane like he's getting ready to turn left. And as I see him, we glock eyes. I was on the phone with my guy. I was like, listen, 5-0 just pull up at me, man. I'm finna pull off. So I walked to the car. As I pulled off the turn right, I swear like 15 police cars came out of nowhere. Rolled up on me. All they kept yelling is, where's the phone? They chased me on the cell phone.
Wow.
So from there, I end up getting arrested. And I was holding it down. I was like, man, I bought that cell phone because back then they had burnout phones. People stealing phones, selling burner phones all the time. I bought that off the corner from a dude. But then they said, okay, you facing this much time and this and that, and you fired the gun in the bank and all, and I was scared. My first time ever getting in some real trouble. Not first time doing wrong, but anything that's serious. You talking about armed bank robbery, the feds picked me up.
Right.
So I'm in that thing, but I had it and I didn't know. They left me in the room for about an hour, and that's when your thoughts start beating you up. And so I'm sitting in that little room. They wanted me to snitch, and I was like, nah, I did it on my own. I wasn't on that snitch because these dudes that helped me really was helping me out.
Mm-hmm.
And they came in there, man. I ended up, I had took a plea. I took a plea, and I was writing a confession to the judge for leniency. So you got to hear me. I wrote a letter to the judge talking about how hard my life was, and I've never been in trouble. I'm sorry. And then I got a public defender. And usually when you get a public defender, man, you don't trust them. They don't care nothing about you.
Right.
This guy was a blessing. He looked at me. He heard my heart. He said, "You just a young guy that effed up." It's just
Mm.
like that.
Wow.
I was like, "Yeah." He said, "You know what? From everything you're saying, what was going on with your father, he was having, because my father was having a decline at the same time." He
Mm.
said, "I want you to go to trial." And I said, "Go to trial?" But all I knew is I can get off. Man, we went to trial for my case. The judge already has a letter from me confessing.
Mm.
I forgot about that. We went to trial. So we're there in the trial. What the lawyer was doing was making it look like my father robbed the bank, and I was a young naive dude who was taking up for my father. I wore his pants and his jacket. I didn't know I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a neighbor, my Spanish neighbor, and my Caucasian neighbor, white neighbor, come in and testify for him. It was like, man, all we know is when Reggie's around the keys, he's a good guy. We never seen him, because really I wasn't. I was a Southern gentleman in front of them. They didn't know I was thugging and doing stuff behind the scenes, because
Right.
I got so well with hiding it because my father ain't played. And so they didn't know I was doing capers and getting in fights and all. They just knew I was like, hey, what's up? Yes, sir. No, I was cool.
Mm-hmm.
So they were in there saying, well, Reggie's father was going downhill and those are his clothes. And man, after delivering, I had a hung jury. They couldn't
Wow.
find me guilty. But
Wow.
in the midst of that, usually after a hung jury, they let you go for a couple of days and you come back, you have a new trial.
Mm-hmm.
Right then and there, the prosecutor has passed this. There was a thing, a loophole he found where they can go back and deliberate right now. So he puts it in, the judge accepts it, and he said, "Hold up, jury, I want to talk to you." This man looks at the jury and said, "Let me tell you something. Last week I went to see a movie, and inside that movie it had all kind of twists and turns and what if and what could have happened, all this mystery." He said, "This is not a movie. You have to look directly at the evidence." Because what they had was one woman that pointed me out of a lineup. I don't see how I had a bandana and a hat like, not a God made hat, but I had a skull cap and a bandana on. You could see nothing but my eyes. You telling me this lady pointed me out, which
Right.
I know they rehearsed it. He
Right.
said, you got to look directly at the evidence, man. After I looked at because my heart dropped. I looked at my lawyer, I'm like, do you see what he's doing? He's coercing the jury. He's forcing them. 10 minutes later, I was found guilty.
Mm-hmm.
So after all that, I had a hung jury, found guilty. I ended up with 9.5 years in federal prison. I ended up with 9 years in state prison. I got illegally sentenced. I was not supposed to get state time. What happened was, I got sentenced in the feds. It was a fair charge. It was a bank robbery. The people were at work. They carried the whole charge. They lied on the transcript and said, I took time 5 feet away from the bank to rob the people in broad daylight and then run in the bank. I said, a crackhead won't do that. Somebody gonna see me in broad daylight robbing these people. They charged me separately. So I ended up with 9 years in state and 9.5 years in federal prison. I ended up getting
Mm-hmm.
a legal sentence for 18 and a half years. Um, what happened was I went to state to get sentenced. They said, well, what we'll do is run our time concurrent with the federal prison, meaning that while I'm doing my fed time, my state time is going at the same, because the heavier case charge was the federal prison. I was
Mm-hmm.
never supposed to go to state prison at all. As I'm getting out of the transit, out of court, they send in all the guys who have fed cases back to the federal prison. As I'm walking, 5 other guys will get on the bus. The officer stopped me. He says, Mr. Foreman, stop. He says, you got to do your state first, then your fed. So what they did was they never ran it concurrent. They ran it while I ended up with 9 years
Mm-hmm.
in state. I ended up with 18 and a half years before my eyes. When I say it got worse, it got worse. I ended up going to state prison serving 4.5 years.
Now I got a
I'm
quick question for you, and I don't even know if you know the answer to this. When it would come to a sentencing like that, even if you had to do them separately, the federal wouldn't override the state first. You wouldn't have to
that's
do.
what was. You know what? That's what was supposed to happen. I was never even supposed to touch state prison.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent me to state prison immediately instead of sending me to federal prison.
Right, right. Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, it definitely was. That's why I said, and it gets worse. But I'm never supposed to touch state prison. Um, I ended up in state prison for 4 years. I was in there, like I said, I've had, and this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a movie. We're working on this. We're working on it. It's been, I've
For
been asked by,
sure it
I've
is.
had people call in and say, man, you trying to turn this into a movie. And so, and these some, B-list producers. But as I'm in state prison, I started getting strong in the word because I started believing what my grandma said. All you can do is pray. But I remember this as I came from trial. I remember being in my cell going bad, and it's on my. I was on CBN, the documentary will show you. I was in the cell cursing God out.
Mm,
I was so angry at my life from being bullied, my mother being on drugs, my father going through selling drugs. Everything that I've been through, I'm like, God, and you letting them. This is my first charge. I wasn't just living a wild life, just everything. And I was in there crying, like, where the F were you when my mother was abusing me? Where were you when they were chasing me home from prison? I was going at it with God. Where were you when I was hungry? Where were you when I was living bad? And I remember, I can't see how quick it was. I remember God showing me and speaking to me. I have a purpose for it all.
mm,
That's when burdens started lifting off me, and I was like, I have a focus. God called me. I fasted for 21 days, and God showed me how to call as a prophet. I mean,
mm,
God just started showing me that I'm going to use you mightily. There was a visitor, there was a pastor, Puerto Rican pastor, came to the prison, called me out and said he started laughing uncontrollably. It was crazy, like he was radiant. He said, "You're gonna do a great work for God." So all this thing was showing me that my life. That's why my mantra and my helping people is that there is purpose in your pain. That's where that started from, because God said I have a purpose for it. So anyway, 4 years go by, and the guy that was helping me file an appeal was a jailhouse lawyer. These guys know the law back and forth. He ended up winning an appeal for me. I get back in the county jail after 4 years. I'm in the county jail, and I get a letter from the federal prison. And I go to look at the letter. It said, "Mr. Foreman, your case is mute. You have exasperated your time. So what you have is 2 years to file an appeal." They say you can't file no more appeals. Your case is closed. So what they're saying is you are stuck with 9.5 years in federal prison. No more appeals. I'm like, are you serious? And what we say on the streets, the feds is the real gangster. You need all the help you can get with them. So I remember running next door to the cell, calling out my mentor. It was an older Puerto Rican guy. He was strong in the faith. And I was calling his name. He came to the wall. I'm like, man, the feds just closed my case. I don't got no way out. What I'm going to do? This man started laughing and praising God. So now I'm trying to look through the, what you laughing and praising God for? He got real quiet. He said, now you're going to see the hands of God. Now you're going to see his power because you have no way else out.
mm,
And I was like,
mm,
wow. So now as I read the Bible, everything in that Bible became real. Part in the Red Sea, Walls Jericho, because it's not a movie no more. I got to believe the Bible.
mm,
And this is what I tell people. God waits till you don't have your finger crossed behind your back. You can't call your auntie, your cousin. You have nothing but him. And so now I get back in the course. The state judge said, well, Mr. Foreman, we did agree to run our time concurrent with the federal prison. Somehow they didn't agree. So what we're going to do is just overturn that 9-year sentence and just drop it to 3 years. See, 3 years is what the gun carried. But I already had did 4 years. So I was a year over my new sentence.
mm,
I could have went straight home out the courtroom. They said, well, Mr. Foreman, we can't let you leave because the federal prison has a detainer on your name. They have a hold on you. They're coming to pick you up. And
mm.
I was like, all I knew it was cool. I seen a light opening, got to move. I don't got to do, got to do 4 years. So now what happens is I'm supposed to be going to a camp, a low-level camp, a federal prison, because I was in the medium. It was a little rough, but it's not a high
Right,
prison. And what happens is Monday they take you to Monday they take you federal prison, they take you out of jailhouse, and then on Tuesday they take you to state prison. They called me on a Tuesday for a state prison run. I'm like, why am I getting called for state prison? My case just got overturned. It's the same. Why are you trying to figure it out? God has already worked it out. So
mm,
they send me to state prison. I'm writing a lawyer. I'm like, why am I state prison? Because in my mind, the only way I'm going to go home, I got to go to the federal prison to beat the feds.
mm,
So I write the lawyer, I write the judge. I even wrote the prosecutor who was against me. I'm like, listen, y'all got y'all time. Why am I still here? Nobody responded. And for some reason, the number 3 has always been my number. I never push no more. After 4 months go by, I'm sitting in this little classroom where they teach you how to open a bank account when you get out of prison. I'm sitting there. R&D is where they receive you, deliver you out, and receive you in. The lady from R&D comes to the door and says, Reginald Foreman, we need you down in R&D. So I know I could be going home, but I know I got a hold on me just 4 months
mm,
ago. As I'm walking to the door, this young dude I used to mentor, it was an old, young Haitian dude. He was wild. None of the old heads would deal with him. He was wild. But he yelled out, "Hey, boy, today is your day. Things happen when it rains." And I'm like, man, what is that? Some voodoo or something? Things happen when it rains. But that's why I tell people another thing. The children, the youth of the day need discipline, but they need love. So I
Right.
was like his big brother. So he like, boy, it's your day. Things happen when it rains. It was pouring down rain outside. I'm like, all right. I go around there, the ladies on the computer. She said, Mr. Foreman, you have immediate release. I said, okay, immediate release, because I know I ain't supposed to be in state prison. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, now my stomach bubbling the answer. I said, there's not a hold on me in the computer? She said, no. I said, there ain't no detainer on my name. She said, I'm going to shut up and ride this out. I'm going to see what happens. Man, they take me to change clothes. They give you $100 when you get out of state prison and federal prison in Florida. Give you $100. And I started walking to the front seat of the police car. I got in the front seat with her and I said, yo, this is getting real. She took me to the Greyhound bus station, said, Mr. Foreman, have a nice life. I want to see you again. As the Greyhound pushed off, I remember jumping, oh my God, I'm free, I just beat the feds. Drove off and I was free in Miami. So that's the first half. Um, I get out into Miami streets and I seen that everybody was living the same way. I seen that my father was gone. Like I told you, he was running from the DEA. I didn't have no help. One thing I tell people I know that people need in their life. If you come from an abusive relationship, you come from drugs, you come from prison, you need accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You need somebody to support you and hold you up.
Mm-hmm.
I knew if I stayed on the Miami streets, I was going back to prison.
Right.
So and I remember at 16, my aunt and them, they go to church and they work. I called my aunt and I said, listen, I'm 25 years old at that time. I said, listen, I'm saved now. I'm a Christian. I'm ready to move to St. Louis. They helped my stepmother got me, bought me a ticket. And I moved to St. Louis. Now I'm up in St. Louis working at labor rate, temp service, walking dog, digging ditches. This is man, I'm doing everything. I ain't thinking about crime. I was dating a pastor's daughter, about to be a deacon in the church. My pastor's daughter started having dreams. I went back to prison. She had like 4 dreams. I'm like,
Mm.
girl, you crazy. I ain't even thinking about crime. And when I say her mother's a prophetess, can tell you, scare you when you get in the line. So I'm like, well, the dream can get passed down, but this girl is thinking crazy because I ain't even thinking about no crime. I ain't paying no attention. I was out 30 months, short of 3 years with 30 months actually. 4 days, 2004, 4 days after Valentine's Day. I remember 6 a.m. I'm laying on the bed. I had one sock on and one sock off. And I heard, if you ever heard a U.S. Marshal serve a warrant, it'll scare the mess out you. I heard the banging at the door. I jump up. I go downstairs. They already had opened the door. And the U.S. Marshal was standing at the door. Mr. Foreman, we have a warrant for your arrest. Now, they take me to the handcuffs, put me in the police car, looked around, turned around, looked at me and said, you was out of prison erroneously by mistake. I
Mm.
said, what? I done changed my life, relocated to stay out of trouble. I'm in church, serving in church, and God is letting me go back to prison. When I say all the pain and because I wasn't really mad at the prison at first, I was mad at God. I was like, all this trusting you, serving you, you telling me I'm going back to prison? Are you an Indian giver?
Mm.
And all I remember, man, is sitting on the edge of my bunk in prison in tears, suicidal. I either gonna wild out, kill somebody, kill myself. I was on the edge. And this older guy, another guy came to me. He was annoyed. I remember him speaking like talking to me. He was like, um, I can see the calling on your life. I can see this. I want to help you out. At that moment, I had my head hanging low. I had the chance to tell him, Negro, but I said another word. I don't want to hear nothing else about God. I don't want to hear nothing. But I did not just say whatever. That's why I tell people you have to accept the help that God sends.
Mm.
At the timing, and it may not be the package you want, but God is always sending help. So I accepted it. Man, I should have brought with me, but I got like 30 some certificates. I started occupying myself while I was waiting. I tell people, you're waiting on God to do something, but how are you showing him that you are ready for what you're asking for?
Mm.
How are you preparing yourself? I started going to classes. Man, I was voted Prisoner of the Month, most likely to succeed when I got out of prison. They do have that. It was like, man, this guy's going to do something with his life. I
Mm-hmm.
went to anger management classes, which that still was a problem with me, but I was going to classes. And I ended up winning my appeal, man. The guy won the appeal. So I did 4.5 years. I did 3 years on the streets and I did 4 years. So I did 8.5 years altogether. And that's what happened with my prison story.
Wow, man. I mean, like you said, that story in and of itself is powerful. And people, that's not even, you know, that,
Right.
well, I'll put it like this. that's not, and it's a song. What's the name of that song? Oh my gosh, that's not the end of the story.
Indeed.
That's not the end of the story because I want you from who you were then during the 4.5 years, during the armed robbery. I want you to now tell people about the God made. I want you to tell people about Reggie Foreman, the entrepreneur. Reggie
Mm,
Foreman, who is the creator
mm,
of Reggie the Lion, and
mm,
all of those great things that you even didn't let go. And this will be one of the questions that I asked too, that you didn't let go of, even though you had the circumstances that you had.
mm.
So t- let's talk first a little bit about the Reggie Foreman now versus.
Well, well, I didn't. The thing about it was, I didn't have this vision of who I was when I was going back and forth. The legal
Okay.
sentence, the two
Mm-hmm.
sentences. All I knew is that God had prophetically and told me I have something
Right.
great for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a well, I did started writing a script in there for
Mm-hmm.
another guy who was this ex-drug dealer, his rapper. He was doing a movie film for his rapper. And I said, I can write because I was doing prisoners' cards for their wife and mother. I was
Okay.
drawing and stuff, sending cards for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I had a gift. And I started writing this movie script for this guy. He was paying these people big money. He just said, I'll let you try. And I'm a writer. I started writing. He looked at it. He said, this is pretty good for a guy that ain't been to school for doing this. So when I left the prison, my brothers and them did say, man, we want to see your name in lights. We don't want to see you again. So I always say that I'm pressing forward for these guys in prison because they believed in me. But anyway,
Absolutely.
man, when I got out of prison, I still was lost trying to figure out what, and this is the thing. We try to figure our life out instead of really turning to God and say, what have you put us here for? You're
Mm-hmm.
God. You created us. There's a purpose for us in your will. And
Mm-hmm.
all I knew was to follow the status quo, get a job, go to school, do whatever you can do. And I read Chef Jeff, the book in prison. Ex
Mm-hmm.
offender. Yeah, he was in Brooklyn. He went to prison for 10 years for
Right.
selling drugs. Became a multi-million dollar chef. He's been on Rachel Ray TV, all that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew he was in federal like me. I knew what a federal because it's hard to get a job with a federal record. But
Mm-hmm.
I knew I could be a chef. So I went to school, and it was like things was lining up. I met this guy in the halfway house. He was talking about how he was going to Brown County. He was going to community college, and but he was talking about how he was hustling the money. You know, when you buy your books and then you don't, they give you a little money off when you don't use them all and all. And I was like, okay. So I knew I can go to school because, I mean, nobody on my side went to college. My dad did and all that, but me, my brother, and my sister, well,
Mm-hmm.
my sister was going at that time. But anyway, so I went to school for culinary arts. I went to Forest Park school in St. Louis, Missouri, and I went to Job Corps for culinary arts for ex offenders.
Okay.
I was one of the top ones for the cutters, cutting the food and the vegetables. I graduated for 6 months, a certificate, and transferred over to the college. So now I'm in the college, but I started realizing that I like cooking, but I don't love it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I tell people. I believe that you should do your passion is what you love.
Right.
So I'm in there and I'm like, man, I just don't like doing this. I don't see, all these hours. So I switched my major over to graphic design because my stepmother spoke something in my life at 14. She said, man, you should do something with business cards, greeting cards, and t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
That was put into me at 14 years old, before the clothing line even happened.
Okay.
So now I'm thinking in my mind I should do something with clothing and fashion. And but at that time I started having bumping heads with my aunt. She wanted me to do stuff her way, and I want to do stuff my way. We bumping heads, and I said, man, then I'm in school, and they got all these other classes. I hated school as it was in high school, and I wasn't smart enough to switch to just to take how they say when you go to school for trade school and just learn the trade and get out of it. No, I quit school and I started working these jobs, try to hurry up and make some money. And I
Mm-hmm.
was working at a print shop and doing graphic design, t-shirts, printing shirts. I was watching BET Hip Hop Awards one night. T-Pain came on there from telling T-Pain. He said, I want to thank all my haters for this award. A light bulb went off. God bless my haters.
Mm-hmm.
My t-shirt was called God Bless. My other shirt was called God Made Me What Can Break It. So I'm riding around in a Fred Sanford old beat up pickup truck looking red truck from beauty shops to barber salons slinging t-shirts. And I was selling out because I found out that people buying what it said, what it made them feel. I had a woman come to me that beat divorce. She was like, God, maybe what can break me? I need that shirt. Another lady was like, I just beat a cancer. I need that shirt. One girl was on her job and was like, I can't stand this girl I work with. I need that. God bless my haters. I say, you do know it say God bless my haters, right? I said, but whatever you want to buy it for, hey. So I was selling a lot of t-shirts, but this is the problem. I didn't know business. I was hustling.
Okay.
I didn't know how to scale. I didn't know how to take it to the next level. I ended up getting married too soon. I'm divorced now. That's another long story. I was impatient, jumped in a marriage with a good woman, but not, see, there's a difference from a mate and a purpose mate. If you don't know this study, you should look at it. Well, God has a specific person for who you're supposed to be, because especially for me, he already told me, I got a purpose for you. Everyone has one, but he told me clearly. So I had to know which way and who he said I should marry. And I did not marry too fast. So now I'm in that. Now you got somebody that's corporate America that didn't believe in the calling and the vision of my life. She didn't understand it. That wasn't her thing. So now you're married and you're bumping heads. I ended up laying down everything for a whole year. I didn't know what I was doing. I was at this church. This lady prophetically spoke in my ear and said, you're trying to start a business out of nowhere. God's going to do it if you keep him first. I got hope back. And then this business guy came in. He said, Reggie, do you have business cards? I'm like, no. He said, do you have a website? I was like, no. He was like, well, how do you expect to compete with these people on this level? You don't even have this beginning stuff. And I said, okay. Again, accept the help that God sent. I took $1,000 income tax, not $10,000, not $5,000. I took $1,000 income tax. I got my website done, and I got me some business cards. And then my boy Willie Moore Jr., if y'all know him from gospel radio, used to be R&B singer. Willie Moore Jr. came to me because I was serving with him. He had just got saved about 2009 when I went to St. Louis. I started serving with. People don't understand, don't know. I was this guy's bodyguard. This was so funny, Willie Moore Jr. I'm going around with him. Now I'm the guy with all these business ideas. He's business ideas. I'm like, and he set me down. Remember, he's like Tyler Perry. He said, Reggie, you got all these ideas, cars, shirts. You got to find one thing and focus on it. And so I started serving with him because I'm a big dude, know how to fight all. He's going into still going into clubs at this time. He would sing his little 5 R&B, lay your body down, and then he would do the gospel and reel the people in. So anyway, that's a funny story. You know, I was a bodyguard for Willie Moore Jr. So on the road. So he says, Reggie, I like your shirts, but you need to tweak it up, make it funky, put some hip designs on it. Man, when I switched it around, I wish I had a picture. My first Godly Image shirt, it was block letters with cursive letters movement. I started getting orders from all over. I got orders from Africa and France out the country. So now I'm selling these shirts, and now it's going to graphic. Now I'm not just trying to be a t-shirt seller. My plan was to be the first faith-based Sean John, Fubu, Ralph Lauren. I wanted to be that big in faith and fashion with God on the front. So I'm doing the fashion line, man. I got a fashion magazine deal. This lady, I was at this, my ex-wife were at this Office Depot. To tell this quickly, it was at Office Depot, and I was getting some cars done, and she saw my logo, and she was like, this is like the lady that worked behind it. She said, I work with this lady from this magazine. I'm her designer. And she would love, she's getting ready to do some designers. She said, man, I would love to talk to her about you being one of her designers. And so I was like, all right, cool. So she slashed the magazine over me. And the magazine was like a gala with gowns and runway, like in Vogue magazine and Essence magazine. I'm looking at the magazine, looking at my fashion. I'm laughing like, this lady ain't gonna put me in her magazine. This is real gala. They got big hats and what was she said? Nope. She said you would be great for urban design. So I'm laughing like Sarah did when God, the angel told Sarah she's gonna have a baby out the cherub. I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah, my ex-wife, we both laughed like, yeah, right. Anyway, a week later on a Monday morning, 9 a.m., the lady called. It was the editor of the magazine. She said, I'm such and such. He said, my friend, hello, how are you? She was so proper, I thought it was a bill click. I was about to hang up. So she said, he told me this person does that you have great work. I love what you're doing. I'd like to give you a 4-page free spread. I was like, what? Now this magazine goes all over St. Louis, East St. Louis. I was like, free market. She said, I don't want to stop there. She said, I also want to give you a deal for, and it was a 360 deal. I didn't know what that meant by then, but a deal, all-inclusive deal to my magazine, where they would have to put up the fabric, put up the design. I'm like, what? So now I got this fashion magazine deal. Then it gets better. She had this connection to the South St. Louis, the one that runs the mall down there, Macy's. Now, if you're doing fashion back then, now Macy's closed down. But being in Macy's, the retailers was the
Yeah,
biggest dream for a fashion designer.
absolutely.
So we're having a meeting at the Macy's building in St. Louis downtown. I'm like, wow, I'm in the Macy's building. Then I started noticing something. Everybody's in there. I'm the only male, which is cool. And they chose me for that. They said, look, you're a Christian male, but you're a straight male. She said, a lot of people, males that
Mm,
are in fashion are not, straight. She said, you're going to represent God and you got nice design. But they only have one seamstress. You got one lady and it's seven of us. And how you going to do all these designs? So lo and behold, I found out that somebody that was running the company for her while she was traveling messed up the deal and they lost the investors. The deal went away after 1 month.
wow.
When I say, man, every time I turn around in my mind, it's up and down, up and down. Now I was stronger then. I was like, all right, God, I'm just gonna keep doing it. Just like now with this coronavirus
Hmm.
coronavirus thing, you have to keep doing what you know to do. You
Right.
have to keep walking, keep working on what you have. So before the fashion magazine deal thing came, I was opening up for well, I wasn't opening up, but a guy that was a Christian guy that had these comedy shows. I was having fashion shows. I was doing stuff, and he knew my story. He would tell me, you know, wait, before that happened, I got a email from the one of the top magazines in St. Louis, St. Louis American. So they were like, they want to interview me. I don't know who connected it, told them my story. They interviewed me. She was like, oh wow. And I'm thinking when I get the newspaper, if you flip the paper, there's gonna be a little article in the back. You flip too fast, you're gonna miss it. Man, somebody called me before the paper came out because they was on their website. They said, Reg, you on the front page, biggest day, the business section. I said, what? They gave me the front page? I was like, oh my God, I usually have that, but I'm in transit in St. I'm not at home in Florida. And they gave me the front page, and I was like, wow, this was 2 weeks after I lost the fashion magazine deal.
Mm,
That's why I tell people, keep going. So I kept doing the comedy shows. I would open up. So what would happen was he would tell me, get 3 minutes, tell my testimony. So it's like empowerment before comedy.
mm,
When people walk in the show, I would have my booth set up. They see the designs because I had some nice designs. It was like, I still do, but I was doing more fashion then. It was like, yo, they would buy, but I didn't know. After every time I told my testimony, I would have two lines of people.
mm.
I was offered to come in 2012 before I knew I was a speaker. Tim Norman and Miss Robbie, if you heard them, they own Sweetie Pies. They was on OWN Network and all that, big in St. Louis, but they had their TV show. So I was on the same platform. Then we spoke at the reentry program, Arches, for ex-offenders. All the big heads was there from all over the prisons. I was one of the speakers. I was shaking in my boots. First time I ever really spoke. But when I got through, I had a line of people waiting to shake my hand, get my card, and my wife. We had to send people over to her to get my information. I was like, wow, but I still didn't see what God was showing me. So speed it up. I'm doing these comedy shows. Speaking, and then Aeneas Williams was an ex-football player, Hall of Famer in St. Louis, has his own church. He was out of town, and they asked me to be this fill-in. 200 plus men, my first big crowd, all men's group, 200 plus men. I'm speaking. After the thing, one of my sisters in Christ kept coming to me and said, Reggie, you need to write a book. You need to put your story in a book. And I'm like, no, not right now. Because in my mind, when I get to Paris, when I'm in all these stores, I'll write a book then. Why? Because I'll make more money. It's just common sense. When you're bigger, you sell more books. But see, there's a difference from you having a business plan and God has a calling in your life. That's what I'm trying to tell people. You can set it up, you can write it down, but you got to leave room in there for God to shift you. See, God wanted me to start helping people get healed right now, not chase the bag.
Mm.
He wanted me to chase him.
Right.
And so I ran from writing a book for 2 years. I did not write a book at one time. So now I'm at Aeneas Williams at his church speaking. After that, like 7 men came up to me and said, man, where your book? Where your book? You need a book. I said, all right, God, I hear you. And lo and behold, that's when Live Determined, don't let your, I don't have a lot of stuff right now. My book is sold out, but don't live determined. Don't let your struggles bully your dreams. I'm sure that Leroy will post it up. That first book,
Absolutely.
man, I did that first book. When I obeyed God, that's when I got CBN. I was sending my documents to CBN 700 Club, and
Mm-hmm.
when they finally, it was like 6 months. They got so many people. When they finally came to my house to do the production, and I was like, man, man, I was sitting there. He said, somebody sent a copy of your book in or something. because we were gonna just do you live for 5 minutes in the studio, live TV. But once we saw your story, we said we're gonna do a full documentary. I
Wow.
was like, what? I never did it. But my book opened that door. Then I was on TVN. Willie Moore Jr. had Juice TV. It's a Christian thing like 106 in Park. I was on there with him, but my book opened a lot of doors, and of course, my story.
Right.
So that's when I became this fashion designer. I'm traveling, but then God shifted me to being a speaker. So, because my idea was of being this big fashion designer, but God was like, I call you to ministry, telling your story. When I was on TV and I had people inbox me, like I said, this guy that does production, like, man, I want to help you get your story out, get your film out, but it wasn't God's timing because I had this other idea coming up. So I'm doing the fashion. I end up getting married, doing the fashion, switched over a little bit to the speaker art. I'm traveling around speaking, going from city to city, doing that. And now we get to the part where me and my ex-wife were trying to have a baby. She was having a problem getting pregnant, and because she has fibroids, she has growth inside of her.
Mm.
So it's hard to have a baby. So this is when I did it. This when me and started working together. I did the 21 Days of Greatness. I was doing the events. We in Baltimore, Washington D.C. I think I did one. We did a couple of places, Richmond, Virginia. Yeah, we did a couple of events, and I'm getting inbox from people crying because we were telling our story. Me and my wife was in the front. We was telling how we, had lost a child, then God, we got pregnant again. Because what happened was, um, during the pregnancy, the first time she had got pregnant, she had all the symptoms, she had everything going for her, and then found out she went to the doctor, there was no fetus in there. It was just symptoms. She was an empty sac. And it was she was like, God played a trick on me. Why would he let me have all these symptoms and think I'm going to get pregnant? Because all she wanted to do. She was mad at God. She left it alone. I think a year and a half went by. One day I'm laying on the couch, and she came from watching Joe Osteen, God can give you double for your trouble. Whatever that was, that spoke to her heart, and she was excited, like, I want to try again, because she was done. I want to try again. Then, and our marriage, we bumping heads, we up and down. A lot of people didn't know. That's what I tell you, man. You can save faith, you can post on Facebook, on Instagram, but a lot of people got a lot of things going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, a lot of
Don't
people
let
want to
that
wear the
posting,
mask. Yeah,
don't let that posting fool you.
yeah.
So, and I'm more transparent than a lot of people. I tell my stuff, but at that moment, no, a lot of people didn't know that we was bumping heads going through. Because, like I said, we were not supposed to be. So she came to me and she said, I want to try again. I'm like, all right. She said, but I don't want to just have one child. I want to have two because I don't want my baby. You 40. I was 40 years old at that moment, and she was 36. We want to get them on out the way, a boy and a girl. Have two children. I'm like, man, I'm not finna. In my mind, I'm trying to build this business. Me and you ain't getting along. You want to have twins, but I ain't saying in front of my mind. I'm like, you crazy. So we start doing what we do to make a baby, and lo and behold, she get pregnant again. This time she take the home pregnancy. She's pregnant like last time. She went to the doctor without me because I didn't know she went. She didn't want me to be, feel bad that it didn't happen. I'm at my side job doing cabinets, working carpentry like Jesus. Anyway, I'm doing cabinets, and I get the call from her. She said, I went to the doctor. She said, the doctor heard a heartbeat this time. I'm like, whoa, okay. Then that girl said, the doctor heard two heartbeats. I almost drove off the side of the road. I said, ain't nowhere in the world God honored this girl's prayer. I couldn't even, I was so flabbergasted. Because their twins don't run in our family. I just know what this girl said, and we end up with twins. So now we going through the pregnancy and everything. And like I said, we don't have no children, so we want the best of both worlds. We're like, God, can you please give us a boy and a girl? When it's time to check the sexes after a couple of weeks, we end up having a boy and a girl inside her. I was like, wow, I can't believe all this is happening. Well, 15 weeks into it, man, after our big event, 3 days after our big event, I think it was in Baltimore, 3 days after the event, Washington, Baltimore, one of 3 days after the event, I'm downstairs watching TV, and I hear my wife upstairs, a big scream. I go upstairs, 15 weeks into pregnancy, she's standing over a pot of water. So I'm like, oh, that don't mean what I think it means, because I'm stepping into super faith. Like, there ain't nowhere in the world, there's no way that God, after all of what I've been through prison and everybody's praising God for the testimony, this ain't real. She said, well, maybe the pressure from the fibroids made me pee on myself. And we're like, okay, yeah. She take a shower. An hour later, it was a worse screech. I go upstairs. She's sitting on the edge of the steps, her legs open. She said, look. I looked down, there was 2 feet hanging out her vagina. Oh my God. 2 little feet. And I said, you got it. She said, I ain't never seen no fear like that in my life when I looked in your eyes. Because I don't know if she didn't look or what, but she looked in my face.
Mm-hmm.
So we drive to the doctor. The doctor checked. Lo and behold, she said, I'm sorry to tell you, because they can tell the sex. She said, you lost your little girl. All I remember was the pain hitting me. I really didn't have a chance to analyze it because I had to be strong for her.
Right.
And then we still got another baby in her.
Right.
So I started telling her, of course, she was done with church. She didn't want to hear nothing else about God. She was really done. And I learned that you got to let people heal. If God is who he say he is, he'll bring the person back around. You can't force feed nobody the Bible.
Yeah.
So I left her alone, and she stayed strong. She started getting operations on her cervix to hold the baby in, but she had to get stitched up because of the fibroids. He would slip out also.
Okay.
So we made it into 27 weeks. I'm laying in there on the side of the bed of her in her room, and all I heard was a lot of scuffling running around the room. He can't breathe. My son was having problems breathing inside of him. They was like, he got to come now. I'm like, 27 weeks? We go on there, they come out at 2 pounds and 1 ounce. He was the smallest little preemie I ever seen. He came out, but he came out screaming, crying. They didn't have to revive him or nothing. I said, this baby is working. So he stayed in the hospital for 75 days. She stayed in for 45 days. I left him alone. I said, all right, God, it's time for me to you and talk. I went to my prayer corner praying to God, why would you let this happen? I went through the motions. Like I said, I'm stronger now because I know God is real. I know that he has a plan, but I couldn't understand them. How does this work? And you're praying for me to lose my child. And I remember coming to my mind was MADD, MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. This woman was the woman who made this organization after she lost her 13-year-old daughter to a drunk driver.
Right.
But she created something that's purpose in your pain. And so I started saying, wow. So what happened was I used to have Reggie the Lion, this affirmation. He was just like a Ralph Lauren polar bear for kids. He was a design on his shirt. I saw him clear as day becoming a toy doll, this picture. And I was like, wow, because I do affirmation and stuff about helping kids. And this is how Reggie the Lion was born. He's a dog that I don't know if you can hear from here. I forgot how this works with the headphones, but can you hear that?
Uh-huh.
So this is the prototype that I can do at my budget. Man, I actually went and got a dog created, man. And while I was at my side job, man, clear as day, the film, his like a film for him was coming. The cartoon, I was writing scripts like no, it was flowing like water. I went and my mentor at that time took me to see this big guy. This guy was named Steve Spiro. He was the guy that was there when Bloomingdale's when Ralph Lauren brought his first tie-in and Calvin Klein brought his first raincoat. So I'm sitting with this older guy, white guy, 70 years old. He slides, because I didn't have the prototype then. He slides in the pictures. He looks at it. He said, this is nice. I like the idea. He said, I got two problems. Because before, he was called Leo the Lion. And he said, I don't like the name Leo. It's too common. I said, okay, what would you call it? He said, why don't you call it your name? Reggie. So I looked at my mentor, businessman. He was a white guy. So I looked at him. He said, I like it. He says, Reggie the Lion. This older guy, I was like, wow, man, I was took in. He said, number two, he said, you're going to have a big pushback from big box office stores because you got God on the front. And I said, you know what? This is what I tell people about you. You have to have it built inside of you, doing your homework and understanding, because it's not that somebody can stop it by speaking it to you, but they can make you doubt. So, but at that moment, I done did my homework. I said, let me show you something. I said, the Christian faith buying power, something point billion a year. We're one of the biggest buying power in this world. I said, VeggieTales made 60 million almost in their first year consecutively, and they were doing cartoons with vegetables. I said, I'm not worried about making the money. I said, everybody don't like Pizza Hut, everybody don't like Papa John, everybody don't like Sprite. And I said, all these companies are multi-billion-dollar companies. He looked at me. He said, you done your homework. I said, besides that, I got people from the street because the dog speaks positive affirmations and they want their kid not to live the same life they live. They said, man, I don't run up in that church, but I'll buy one. I'll definitely get one. So you got these people, then you got people from the faith believing that he's going to sell great. He looked at me and said, yeah. And so lo and behold, he became Reggie Lion. And I'm sitting right now, we're raising the funding, still going through that, getting the team together. I went to Invent Help that did the George Foreman's grill. They loved it, but they was talking crazy. They wanted $16,000 to put advertise to get in their data bank, and they wanted 20% of my company. I said, y'all done lost y'all revenue.
That's even worse than Shark Tank. The Shark says
Yeah,
Shark.
yeah, yeah. He was telling me
Right?
you got a great idea, but this is the thing he told me, because I came in with the film, the cartoon. I have a
Mhm.
Regina the Lion. I've drawn up. You seen that? It's a whole
I'm loving that, bro.
man.
People just don't understand the brilliance and the ideas that you have, man. And I'm gonna tell folks like this: the from the Reggie the Lion to your apparel that you have, like you said, even the movie script that you have, all of those things. And I've told you this from first time that I met you, that everything that you have, like you said, there's a purpose in what God is doing
Mm,
with and through you, and everything that you're building, because you're building this now.
mm-hmm,
These are things
mm-hmm.
that, and I mean, I even tell myself this now too. I have to tell myself, God, you did not put all of this in me and create it through me to just not to just sit here and not do what it
That's
is
right.
that you wanted to
That's right.
do. So I mean, Reggie the Lion, with the affirmations that you have, with the story, your story, because your story is
And
a
now we
movie.
have this.
Yes, and I saw that too. So tell them a little bit about that.
So what we have here, and I didn't know this was going to be as good as it is Reggie the Lion, the Adventures of Reggie Lion and Jeremiah. I was able in the first series to include my son. When I say this is a big deal to include my son,
Mm-hmm.
what it is it's a coloring learning book where kids
Mm-hmm.
can color and they can learn.
Absolutely.
Reggie Lion, the stories, it's teaching what it is. It teaches people. Let me just give you a little bit from the front.
Uh-huh.
Yes, you can. Do not panic. It's about yes, you can. Kids believing that they can do stuff.
Okay.
How to ask for help. How to teach kids how to tell the truth. How to be thankful. Help others. How to be a giver. Believe in yourself and don't be afraid to try. So what I did was I had to water it down to things that I had to learn. Like I said, my teaching, because I get asked all the time, Reggie, ain't you worried about somebody stealing your ideas, stealing that? I said, it's possible. I said, but everything that's great had a counterfeit. But
Mm-hmm.
it never lasts because they can't steal your calling, your anointing, or your wisdom inside of you. You are created uniquely. Somebody will be trying to do. You see all the knockoff Mickey Mouse, but you can't take what is the first thing and what happens. And so this book, man, is more powerful than I thought, because I took the book to my son. Well, what happened is my son came out beautiful young boy, but he was diagnosed with cerebral palsy.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to take him to therapy every week. He made a handsome, energetic, happy baby. You ever see on my page? If you're not following me, you'll see him. He's always laughing, but he has to grow in his walking. So I took the book to therapy, and the teachers and the therapist was like, "This book." The first thing the lady, she said, "You wrote these stories?" I was like, "Yeah." She said, "This will help a lot of children."
Absolutely.
And she said, "The coloring, the pictures." So this right now is on the website for sale. We're raising the money for Reggie Lion because this costs more. And so this is what we're doing right now. This is what I'm taking to schools. I went to had a focus group at a preschool. Everybody loved it. They're like, the kids gonna need this. But this is where I'm at right now. The Adventures of Reggie Lion and Jeremiah is the coloring learning book that we're pushing out right now.
And not just is that not great for, I think, for schools, that that I'm sure you're pushing, but also I think hospitals, children's
Yes,
hospitals,
definitely Reggie the Lion.
you know
Definitely. All of
that
them.
because take that in combination, Reggie the Lion and the coloring books
Mm-hmm.
for the kids, is
Yes.
something that is powerful, and I think will pour into people. And that's what I love about things that like you that are for kids, because when you do things, when you do movies that are for kids, or when you
Mm-hmm.
do products and services that are for children, it becomes even bigger because you pull the parents in with it.
Right.
The
Right.
parents come in with it, because I mean, you think about a movie, kids can't go to a movie without their parents. That
That
thing.
is that is
You
and
know,
that was the whole purpose. That my vision was to get a parent together and read to their kids, because the story are not so Barney like. They're more adult like. Believe in your dreams, don't be scared. That it can impact the adult if he or
exactly,
she reads it. That's
exactly.
why I wrote it that way. That the parent can be like, man, you do gotta have faith. You gotta be able to believe. And that's why I
Mm-hmm.
said I want to bring children and adults back. Brother, I had one businesswoman, and I think you know her too. I forgot her name. I remember, but I just remember. But she said to me, Reggie, um, you're gonna help children. No, that was another guy. But he said you're gonna help children believe before they doubt.
Mm.
He said, this doll is going to help because there's going to be in their brain, it's going to be in their mind. No, what she told me was, she said, for you losing one child, you're going to help millions of children. And
Wow.
that lifted a weight off me. She said, this doll is going
Ooh.
to help. We've already been preparing them to speak different languages so the child can, we already prepared 5 languages by different chips for Spanish, Creole, French, all of that. So the doll is a global idea, which Mickey Mouse can start like that, even though he's big.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're trying to make sure children can hear in their own language. You're smart, you're strong, believe in yourself. God loves you. And like you said, hospitals, we got a connection to William Moore Jr. and St. Jude when it's time. It's just
Mhm.
that God just, the thing about business is, especially when you're a go-getter, you keep thinking you got the answer.
Mhm.
And when you're a faith-based person, you're God called. See, people may be like, and some people have asked me, why it ain't blown up yet? Why ain't this? Because I was chasing success.
Mhm.
Because of the chip on my shoulder, people turned their back on me. Then the marriage, me and my wife was bumping head, and she was doubting me. It was my biggest doubter. You've been saying this for years. Look at Steve Harvey. I almost got emotional speaking in tongues. I'm gonna stay this way. But look at Steve Harvey and Tyler Perry. For years, the greater your calling, I'm speaking to somebody, the greater your idea. That's not overnight. It's not just how hard it is that you have to be built up to handle what happens next.
Right. Right.
TD Jakes has a message. Can you stand to be blessed?
Blessed.
There's a lot
Absolutely.
of other levels to success and things that you go through. So I knew with my temper and thing I was going through, I need the right people around me because this idea is huge. This is the next faith-based Mickey Mouse. And
Mhm.
so I had to understand that God said, I called you to ministry. He said, when you're speaking, doing these messages, he said, I want you to open up a prayer line and lay hands on. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to do all that churchy stuff. I want to do business. I was saying this to God. He said, I called you to ministry.
Mhm.
And then me and my wife had to go through the divorce. That just happened last year. So many things had to transpire before I can go all the way. But I never stop because you're still growing.
Right.
But that's why I tell people God will reroute you because it's like you ain't doing nothing but chasing money to prove to your family and people who turned their back on
Mhm. Mhm. And it's like you said before, don't chase the bag. And I tell people this: you don't chase the money, chase the impact.
you.
And the impact that you already have and that you're going to have in people's lives is, I mean, we can't even think or imagine what he has in store for you because it is going to overflow. And just seeing just this in and of itself with people understanding who I want those entrepreneurs that are watching this, that will watch this, to understand that you have to you have to never, I say, never stop believing.
Mm-hmm.
Never
Mm-hmm.
stop believing in that vision that you have for what it is that you're doing. You're gonna get knocked down. You're gonna get knocked down several times, many times, many
Yes, sir.
times.
Yes, sir. You're gonna
It,
get
it
tried.
you gonna
Yeah.
and I did a posting last week, and it had Michael Jordan on it, but it said something similar to failure is a part of success,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not one person who is successful who has not failed. I
You have
promise
you have to have the
you.
you have to have the tenacity and the strength from that learning. What are you learning from it?
Right.
Um, that has to happen because if you don't, the only thing that I tell that I did a video earlier today. When I'm out here in Florida, I went to like what I
Yeah,
love to do.
I saw that when you were, man.
I was in the area in Florida where I met is like Rodeo Drive in California, rich, nice area. I love to drive through the higher areas and just visualize. I go by the multi-million dollar houses. I know it. And I'm like, listen, I don't need that to be happy or to prove that I'm successful, but it is something what I've been through. And I don't say, why don't I deserve it? But when I say to a person in business or whatever you're doing, if you don't know that you know what you have, and you said it, some I watched a little bit of I watched a lot of it. You were talking about on the movie Self Made, how
Yes.
she
Hmm.
knew her product would make it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry knew, man,
Yeah.
these plays I had. Some Steve Harvey knew. He quit his job to go do comedy.
Hmm.
Bill Gates knew when he was working on Microsoft. So I know, and when I talk to people, like when I did my fashion line, brother, a lot of people love God made apparel. It was hip, get a part of it, but they didn't need it. Wretched
Hmm.
Lion people are like, man, we need this for my child.
Yeah.
And then people of Christian are saying this is ours. Its
Right.
ownership is a Christian brand.
Right.
And it's a wide open lane. So what I'm saying is I know in my mind this can make money. I ain't
Hmm.
worried about that. Now the patience and the timing and not trying to get ahead of God.
Right.
So when you're doing something, you have to know that you know, man, it's just the right time because I have something great. Like I said, my life story. I didn't have to tell people I want to put a film out. People was coming to me like, boy, you got a movie here. This is a movie. But
Absolutely.
you need to. So what I'm saying is, I have to remind myself because it, like you said, you gonna get knocked down. It's gonna get hard. Your wife, your mom, because people don't have the same stretch, patience, and power to go. So they're like, and they're trying to help you. Like, man, you sure? Maybe you should do it this way, or you've been doing it. I'm like, and that's why if you look on my Facebook, up in my thing is Tyler Perry, Steve Harvey, and me
Yeah.
because I connect myself with business,
With them.
but faith and them being homeless. I done had to live in hotels and everything.
Mhm.
I know what it is, and they helped me keep going because their story was crazy.
Mhm.
And I'm like, man, look where they went. So if you're pushing to go there, you got to know, like you said, the sacrifice,
Yeah.
you know. Now, I don't want to put my, and that's what I was doing, and I'm learning. I don't want to put success before my family because it's hard when you get there. It's hard without love. It's hard without that. And if you do it God's way, see, this is the great thing about it. When you do it God's way, He makes sure it all comes together. He's in the center. You will have your wife. You will have your children. You will have the level of ministry or business you need to have, and you'll live abundantly. But when you try to do it your way, you got to work 24 hours, and I can't go to the kids this. I got to make this happen because you are carrying it. And God had to tell me, Reggie, I need you to rest. I'm like, but God, if I don't send these emails out, don't get me wrong. You have to do your emails, you have to do your posting. But when you work like it depends on you, you're gonna get your own answers. But when you work like
Absolutely.
it depends on God, doors open you ain't even never even
Ooh,
manifested thought about.
man, you preaching now, and you and I can sit here and talk business all day, but we got to come to an end. But I
Yes,
want you to
sir.
do this. I want you to tell people one how they can connect with you to be able to have you come speak, to be able to pour into Reggie the Lion, get the books that you have, the two books that you have, and or the three books that you have,
Yes, sir.
the children's book as well, how they can get that because that needs, I ain't gonna say that coloring book needs to be in schools with
Yes.
kids. I'm telling you that needs to be in schools, needs to be in hospitals because it's something that I believe is healing, has healing power with kids today and encouragement to kids.
Yes. And I have a couple of already have daycares from churches and
Right,
actually come read to their kids and
absolutely.
bring. So well my website is reginaldforeman.com. You can't forget it is my name, reginaldforeman.com. My Instagram is Reginald_Foreman. Facebook is Reginald Foreman God Made, but on my website is ReginaldForeman.com. And we have ReggieTheLion.com. But if you go on my website, you can click the link to go to Reggie the Lion. We have donations if you want to be a part of this, helping us go global, or you want to buy the book. And now we're going to be adding the fashion line, the t-shirts on there. But ReginaldForeman.com is how you can find me. Anywhere on social media is what God Made is on Facebook.
Well, spell that for them too because I
It's
know folks.
ReginaldForeman, and it'll be in the description when Leroy posts this. But it's Reginald Foreman, Reginald, and like George Foreman, Foreman, like GeorgeForeman.com.
Absolutely, brother. It has been an honor and a pleasure. I know that the entrepreneurs, I know that the men, um, that and men, women, kids that will watch this will hopefully come away with this understanding that you never give up on you,
Mm,
despite what your life may be. You never give up on you because when you don't give up on you, of course, God never gives up on us.
mhm.
But now you can't give up on you, and when you do that, you are purposed to be and purpose to impact people's lives in such a way
Right.
that they are better. I
Hmm.
always say this, that they're better after they have the encounter with you than they were before they had the encounter
Right.
with you.
That's good.
And that's what to me, when I see God made is about. When I see Reggie Foreman, that's what that's about. When I see Reggie the Lion, that's what that's all about. Because in spite of everything, that story, that your story, everything, you've never given up on you. And that's the big thing. You've never
Woo.
given up on God and you've never given up on you.
You
So,
have down times, you have hard times, you shut down. It may be a week, it may be a day, but boy, you cannot turn back. If you really been called and you really have something, you go and plug yourself in. I watch people's success stories just quickly, and that's how I stay. Once I found out that these people we think are way up here had worse stories or just the same as me, but they made it. I understood they bleed the same blood, and
Hmm.
it's not impossible. So plug in to God and plug to keep your spiritual, your mental tank full. That's in my first book, and you'll make it.
Absolutely. So you got to stay plugged in. Y'all know what it is. It's the brand new development series. Y'all know what we do. We talk about this year. It's about moving fast and furious, move with purpose and passion. This man right here, Reggie Foreman, always moves with purpose, always moves with passion. And when you chase the impact, or don't chase the money, chase
Mm,
the impact, because when
yes,
you
sir.
chase the impact, you change the world. This right here is Reggie Foreman. He's a game changer. He's a world changer, not just a game changer. He's a world changer with
Thank
everything that he does. I'm the impact chaser. We'll talk to y'all soon. We'll see y'all next time.